Happy Valentine's Day, everyone. You know, love may or may not be in the air. It just depends on where you're at, I guess. You know, we at least today have a bright and sunny day here in Wisconsin. I don't know what the weather is like by you, but don't let the weather determine how you feel about today. It's an awesome day. And today we get to give one of our amazing tutors in our community the Tutorpreneur Hero Award. We're also going to be announcing the winner for the HUE HD Pro document camera, so stay tuned on that. And you're going to get to learn all about what tutoring is like from the perspective of somebody who is doing it. Now, Kyle had started off as a ACT tutor, and he continues to do some ACT tutoring, but now he's moving more into the math and doing math tutoring with his students. And then if they need help and prep with the ACT, then he does that as well. So I am so excited to be able to welcome Kyle to our call today. Hey, Kyle.
Hey, Joanne. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you are welcome. So glad that you were here. Don't you just love everybody how like clean cut he looks today with his white background, his white shirt. He even got a haircut for us. No, I'm just kidding.
Shaved off the goatee as well, you know.
Oh, ooh. Now that's when you know you're loved, right?
Yeah. Had to take it back. The gray hairs were coming in, Joanne, so I had to shave off the goatee, take it back 10 years, you know.
Oh, okay. There you go. I don't care about like my age or any of that kind of stuff. So I am 42 years old and I have not had a gray hair yet. Now, maybe you guys can see some, I don't know. I have not had one yet.
You have perfect genetics. See, I'm going to have to talk to my dad about the genetics that he gave me, because I think right around 31, 32, he went full gray, and I might be going there. As long as I keep my hair, I'm fine.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. I just went out with a group of friends this weekend and we were taking like photos. We were at ice castles. It was so awesome. And I said, okay, everybody do like a crazy move. Like, let's make it fun, right? And so he like brings his head down like this, and there's this big bald spot right here. I said, do you really want me to take a picture of the bald spot? And he was like, he stood up immediately. He's like, what? I'm like, well, maybe you didn't even know it was there. I don't know.
I saw those pictures, by the way. I didn't even know what an ice castle was until I saw the pictures that you posted. Those were really cool.
I know, isn't it? It was absolutely incredible. It was like one of like my favorite reasons for living in Wisconsin. I was like, that is so cool. It was the first year they've ever done it here, so that was pretty remarkable. So if you guys are just making your way on in right now, do me a favor and introduce who you are, where you're from, and what you tutor. We want to be able to introduce you guys as well. Say welcome for being inside of here, and all of that great stuff. So definitely come on in and introduce yourselves. So I'm going to start off, you guys. I'm going to show you something that I found the other day when my kids, so this HUE HD camera, right? I decided I wanted to organize all my books. So we organized all the books. I'm going through all of them, and I find the most incredible book for my kids. Here it is. 101 Ways That Kids Can Spoil Their Parents. So I hand the book over to my daughter, who's the youngest, and I said, I have a book for you. And I had a couple of other books for her. She put this one in the discard pile, guys. Not really sure why. I mean, so then I go into my other daughter's room and I hand it to her, and I just walk out of the room. I didn't even make it to the door before this book got thrown at me. I mean, where's the love?
Where's the respect? Come on.
I mean, number one is golden. Here's number one. Tell your mom and dad that if you could have picked them, you would have. So I gave this book to my oldest, and I said, now, you're not going to put this in the discard pile, and you're not going to throw it at me, are you? She's like, no. She looks at it and she goes, Mom, if I could have picked you as my mom, I would have. I said, oh, see, even though I know you're just reading from the book, it feels good. Oh, Crazy stuff. So again, introduce who you guys are, where you're from, and all that awesome stuff. We're going to learn more about Kyle, you guys, and his business. So Kyle, tell us about how you got started with this whole ACT tutoring gig.
Yeah, so I actually got started just tutoring in general when I was still in college. There was a tutoring center that was off campus that I ended up starting tutoring there. And I worked with a lot of students, different ages, and kind of all levels of math. And that's how I kind of got started. And, you know, after college, started my full-time job, and I still kind of wanted to tutor on the side just to kind of make a little bit of extra money, and ended up starting on some of the tutoring websites that allow you to put your information out there for free and have people respond to any inquiries that you might have for different jobs. And that worked out really well. I was using Wyzant for the time being, and worked out well because I wasn't having to pay a fee to have my profile out there, and I didn't have a website, or I wasn't able to direct anybody to that at the time. So it was a good gig for a while. Yeah. But after you know, pulling a student in, the way those websites are set up, they want to take a cut of every single hour that you ever process with that student, instead of just the upfront cost of kind of like a tutor student finder fee.
Right.
So, you know, after seeing, you know, 25% as being a minimum, in the beginning it was almost 40. I know they've reduced that now for that site, but it was a pretty extensive cut for them to take. And I started looking at it, and I'm like, you know what? Every time I send someone to the Wyzant site to click on my profile, who knows? They could click on anyone's profile if they see someone that they might like better. And I'm like, wow, from a marketing standpoint, that's really not helping me very much. I'm not pushing my brand. If anything, I'm pushing the tutoring systems brand.
Exactly.
And I wanted to really try to redefine where I was in the space and build that brand around myself rather than the service. So, you know, while I was still kind of on the site, I started diving into starting my own business and creating those marketing materials and developing a website, and just at the same time working with all of my students and continuing to do a good job there. But, you know, as you work with more and more parents, more and more students, they keep spreading your name as long as you're doing a great job, and made it so much easier to be like, yeah, just go to my website rather than the Wyzant site. And that just kept kind of multiplying from there.
Yeah. And not only that, but then you get to keep that income, the whole shebang, versus having to share 40%, 35%, 25%, whatever it is, right? Like it's too much for every single hour that you tutor to be able to do that. So
and just to add a little like caveat in there, it is really nice being on the Wyzant site when you first start, because a lot of people are going there. There's a lot of traffic. When you decide to take it on your own, the one thing you got to think about is you have to be driving traffic to your own site. It's not that they're just going there. So there are other expenses, whether it's website fees, accounting fees, other expenses, payment fees, merchant costs, that sort of thing. So there's a lot to think about before you kind of like jump into going that route. But I love it way more than being on the site. So
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, and like you said, like this is a business. So whether you're choosing to dive into some of these other resources to be able to get students right now, when I've talked with a lot of people, they have mentioned that it's easier for the people who have some experience with their site to be able to get the students, but the new people, it's a little bit harder for them to be able to get students to begin with, right? So you can try it, absolutely. Know they're going to know what the system is, that they're going to take a 25% cut and continue to work on building your business, so that it's just another, if you're going to use it as just another funnel for getting clients, versus using it as your only funnel for getting clients, right?
Yep. And that's a huge thing to consider.
Yeah, absolutely. That way, for most of the clients that you're getting, whether they're people that you know or that you're then putting them into your website so that they can hire you. So what are some things, you've been doing the ACT tutoring for quite a while online. What are some things that you can share about teaching the ACT online?
So the one thing that I've realized whenever I'm trying to do ACT prep online is that there are certain subjects that make it a little bit easier, especially when you're looking at the English sections and the math sections. Online tutoring is amazing because you're really just setting the students up with different rules, different concepts that you can very easily expand on just using, Zoom as a video conferencing software and, the online whiteboards. It's very easy for students to convey that information and get that across to them. What I've found is that having all of your materials kind of set up ahead of time, especially in PDF formats, so that you can jump around right on the PDFs. You're not having to sit there and come up with stuff on your own in the heat of the moment. I have everything planned out in terms of how I run students through my program. Yeah. And I keep track of where they're at throughout each session that I have. So, I'll check my Google Doc that I have for each student and be like, okay, we left off right here. Great. Pick up right where we left off and keep moving through that. So it's worked out very, very well. There's other instances of the ACT reading and science that are a little more challenging because it's tougher to kind of jump around and look at the passages and the questions. But it's still something that I can do. So
yeah. Well, that's awesome. And this is why, you guys, that Kyle today is getting this Tutorpreneur Hero Award, because he is just a wealth of information and being able to share that with other tutors. He's getting success with his business. He's getting clients, and he's taking all those right steps. So congratulations. We are so excited for you.
Thank you, Joanne. I really appreciate it.
So how did you make the decision to move over to doing more math instead of focusing on like math and ACT? Yeah.
Well, like I said, I started off in math, but then once I had one person ask me for ACT prep, I helped them. And then all of a sudden I had another person asking me for ACT prep, and it just kind of snowballed where almost 80% of the students I was working with were test prep students. But what I kept finding was that every student that I worked with, they had those fundamental gaps in their understanding of math. So I was having to go all the way back to the beginning and start rebuilding from step one, because a lot of the students don't understand arithmetic, which is amazing to me. And a lot of parents would say, oh yeah, my students in pre-calc, I kid you not, they do not have surefire ways of handling arithmetic and fractions. And they can do higher level concepts, but they always get down to the bare bones of math and they struggle. And I started seeing an opportunity there to say, you know what, I need to be shooting for a lower age bracket so that I can get these kids before they struggle for 6 years, and then I get them at ACT prep. I want to work with them throughout their entire middle school, high school career, so that they can feel super confident. And by the time they're ready to take the test, we've already had all of those boxes checked. Right. And we can just spend less time getting them the score that they want rather than having to pay more money. So it's cost effective.
Yeah. And at the end, like when it comes to all of that, you have to think about what are their costs going to be for the parent, for the child. All that kind of stuff comes into consideration. And the earlier that you can figure out what some of these issues are, the better it's going to be in the long term. Do you still have people that kind of find you like, hey, we're taking the test in like 2 weeks. Can you help us prep for it?
Yeah, I do have those parents that have reached out to me. Senior year, November, the last test that they can take is December. And they're a little bit late to the game. They always ask me, can you show my student the tips and tricks in 2 hours? And I'm like, no, I can't. I can work with them, but I can't guarantee that they're going to be able to pick up all of the skills that they need to know in that short amount of time. So, I mean, I'm very honest with the parents that I speak with in telling them that this isn't a quick fix. It's not something you can just put a Band-Aid on. It's something we have to go back and work through. And those packages are going to be, 18, 24, 40 hours of instruction so that the student can get the repetition that they need to actually reinforce that skill. Because anyone can hear me say, yeah, you got to use the distance equation. Yeah, you got to use midpoint equation. But until they actually understand, oh, here's the cue, here's the program I got to run, and I'm getting that answer correct 98% of the time instead of like 50-50.
Right.
That's what happens. And to put the kids into an environment where it's a time crunch experience, where there's pressure, you understand that people choke a lot.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that practice,
the automaticity,
learning the skills, and then actually taking the test in an environment that is going to be similar to that, they're going to struggle. And that's what I've really tried to do, is put together a program that helps them learn the skills, then see the ACT questions, then start learning about how to manage the time and time efficiency. And you really do have to take it in those steps. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's just something for you guys to think about too. If you're thinking of working with some ACT students, you're going to get these kinds of people. How are you going to respond to them? What is the plan that you're going to have when you work with these students? And those are so many things. So how many students do you have now?
Right now, I'm working with about 10 students right now. 3 of those are just kind of my regular math students, and then 7 of those are ACT. So the cool thing is that I've started to, especially with ACT, I can only work with so many students at one time. So I'm actually starting to book out into the future to say, okay, yeah, I can't get started with you until March. I can't get started with you until May. Because it's a commitment. It's a 3-month to 4-month commitment where I'm working with the student on a regular basis. So before, with the system that I had in place, I wasn't able to do that. But now I can actually put payment schedules together so that we can break up some of those larger packages that are, upwards of thousands of dollars that usually parents are looking at being like, oh my God, there's no way I could handle that. But by breaking it up into like 3 payments and spacing that out, it's just working with the parent to try to find something that'll work for their budget.
Right. Well, and unfortunately, if they do want to get into certain colleges, they need to have a certain score. And so they have to come down to, if I want to even get in, this has to be a step that I'm going to take if I know my kid's not a good test taker.
Yep.
It's just a no-brainer.
Yeah, and a lot of the students, I actually had a parent ask me, they're like, well, we want, what if he can only go up 1 or 2 points, is it worth it? You got to weigh that. You got to weigh that and say, okay, well, in order to get the 4 to 6 point jump that you would need in order to get up to that range where the school is now throwing you money, there's going to be an initial investment, $1,500, $2,000, what have you. But when you look at, if we put the time in and actually get to that point, the school is you're going to see a tremendous reward in terms of the amount of money that they're going to throw at you if you get to that level. So a lot of the time students need to get up into that 30 or above range. But if you start hitting scores in that range, schools are going to be calling you rather than vice versa. Right.
And so in a way, it sounds like it's an investment. Right?
Everything is
that you're making, and it can make you money.
Yep. And I think a lot of the times parents are scared to make that investment because they don't know if it's 100% guaranteed. Am I going to get my return on my investment? And a lot of the times I have to say, you're investing in the stock market, right? Stock market goes up and down. You don't know if you're going to be making a profit or a loss. You have no idea. But at least here, we know that I'm putting in 110% to work for your student, and your student, if they're putting in 100%, we are going to keep trending upward. And I will guarantee that if we're both working in the same perspective, we're going to keep trending upward. It's when you have students that are kind of hit or miss, not doing the supplementary materials, not taking it seriously, then I can't project that. But it's, that's a main thing that parents struggle with. They don't know if it's worth it, and they've tried things in the past and they didn't work. And that's a battle, that's a hurdle that you have to kind of overcome with the parent to make them feel comfortable.
Yeah. And I've had to have the tough conversation of, well, let's talk about the things that you've tried so far. And when I broke that down, it's so interesting, the answers that you get, because there, some people, they're like, I've tried everything. You're like, so let's break down what you've tried. I had one person tell me, well, we got a tutor. And so I said, tell me about the tutor. It turns out that this tutor was 12 years old. Well, it's like, where do you go with that one?
Yep.
I was like, well, and this is for reading, you know, I not obviously ACT prep, but I was thinking, like, when you break down, like, you've tried everything, tell me more. When you like break that down, and then they start realizing, okay, maybe I haven't tried everything, and maybe I didn't really go with the best process and the things that I've tried. Maybe there are more effective strategies and things that we didn't know of that we could try. So I can see how even like breaking down, like, hey, breaking down even your statistics of your students, like my average student makes a gain of blank.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your child may go above that or may go a little bit below that. But when I've taken all the data from all of my students, here's where it lays.
Yeah, and every student's different. I mean, you can't say that right off that first phone consultation that, yeah, we put this time in, because you don't know where they stand initially. And a lot of the times the student comes in and they're just completely hopeless and defeated in math. So the first step is that you just need to show them those first initial building blocks. And that might take a little bit of extra time, but it's going to be worth it in every other math course that they ever take, because they're going to be confident in it. And especially on, you know, college admission tests. Yeah,
for sure. Well, I want to welcome so far our people that are in here. Jean says, congrats on getting the Tutorpreneur Hero. And so does Sindhu. She says, congratulations. And we've got another new name in here that I'm not familiar with. G-O-N. What's your name? Tell us in the comments, because I'm pretty sure that's probably not like your name, or I'm not pronouncing it correctly. And then we've got Rajalik in the house, and we've got Max, and we've got Jean. Welcome, you guys. So glad that you are here. Tell us about yourself. If you guys have any questions for Kyle, please bring them on in. I'd love to be able to incorporate them on into our conversation here. So now that you do both the math, the ACT, what are some of your favorite resources that you use for the math online tutoring?
So I actually, let's see here. What was this called? One second. So I'm sure you guys have heard of, I think it's called Kuta, K-U-T-A software. Mm-hmm. Whenever you Google, you know, let's say linear equations worksheet PDF. Yeah. Actually add the PDF on there because it spits out all the PDF documents. But Kuta like pulls up a bunch of math worksheets that are very specific. I ended up purchasing their software, which is a one-time purchase, and you can go through and create different worksheets based on whatever topic that you're covering with the student. So if I have a pre-algebra student and I'm covering maybe arithmetic, fractions, order of operations, and basic equations, I can go ahead and create that entire worksheet for them, create multiple iterations of that worksheet, so that, you know, if they take the first one and they get, you know, I don't know, 60 out of 100, I can say, hey, let's change all the problems around with one click of the button, send them the next one after we review it. And it's that repetitive nature of just allowing them to see, man, I screwed that up. And let's try it again. Oh my God, I'm up to an 80 now. Okay, let me try it one more time. Oh my God, I'm up to a 95. And that's what a lot of the times with my ACT prep as well, I've used that software to put together my binders that I use with a lot of my ACT students, because I've looked through the ACT, every question, and said, okay, what is this covering? Okay, this is covering linear equations and slope. Great, that needs to be in this packet somewhere. You know, and I've put together those packets. And like I said, I always start with working with the content first. What are the tools that the student needs before they actually see the ACT word problem that connects that skill? So with those worksheets, it helps me to show them, here are the skills. Then when we dive into the actual ACT problems, I'm like, hey, what skill do you think this is actually pulling out? Oh, this is exponent rules. Yeah, we just did that. Great. What do you think you need to do? So it's like connecting the dots one at a time, rather than just looking at an ACT test and jumping around from subject to subject it really doesn't help the student if you're not kind of going in that progression.
Yeah, right. So what would be your suggestion for people that they've got kids that are freshmen and sophomores now in high school, and they're worried about their child for taking the ACT test? What would be the next steps for them at this point?
Well, a lot of times people think that the ACT test should be done your junior and senior year. They also say that, oh, my student hasn't taken enough classes. They haven't taken the required classes for the ACT. And the sad thing is that I can teach them the stuff that they need in 20 minutes, even if they didn't take the class. They haven't taken trigonometry. Great. I can teach you that in 20 minutes. So I'm starting with students earlier and earlier because they don't want to get to their senior year. It's too packed with school, prom, boyfriends, girlfriends, college trips, college admissions, scholarship forms. The last thing you want to be dealing with is the ACT test in itself and prepping for it. So I've been moving earlier and earlier, and I'm even working with students as early as sophomores, getting done by their junior year. They get the score that they want, and now they're coasting through their senior year, and they got everything handled. So it's working out very, very well. And for students that are even younger, even if they're doing well, get me in with them, because we can start prepping ahead and we can start making that proactive choice to get them to where they want to be. And they can become the kids that are actually helping all the other students in the class. And it helps them, because once you learn how to teach something, then you know it.
Yeah, for sure. That extra, it's like that next little jump, right? If you're able to do that, then if you can teach it, you know it to a whole new level.
Yep. And just the confidence that they get, because so many students, I mean, they don't even want to meet with me in person anymore because they're afraid that one of their friends is going to see them with me. And I never thought about that up until recently. And the online tutoring is a great safe space for students that are feeling uneasy about their friends picking on them for not being up to that level. And that's okay. Like, nobody's going to be learning at the same speed. And if you miss one piece, God, it feels like you're looking at another language, so it's just one more, check on the box for online tutoring, is that it creates a safe space where you can interact with the student in the comfort of their own home.
Exactly. And they don't feel like they have somebody looking over their shoulder. Even though you have a better view now that you're online.
I even had a student that she was very defeated when I first met her, and she's just been doing excellent now. I haven't had to even meet with her for a while because she's doing so good. So I worked myself out of a job, right? Yeah. But I asked her for a video testimonial, because that's been something I've been pushing with some of my students, and that was her fear. She didn't want to do it because she was so afraid of someone seeing that she had gotten tutoring even in the first place. And I think that's like something we need to start trying to change. Like, tutoring should not be seen as this negative. It should be seen as, I'm doing great and I want to even improve more. And I'm taking that step, rather than the other way around where you just feel not sufficient enough. So.
Yeah, I agree. And there are certain countries where they actually do it the other way. Like, all kids get tutoring. It's just like a part of the norm. I have students over in London that I've worked with, and they've always been higher achievers, and now they're exploding with their skills because we do meet, and I get to work with them, and it's so cool. It's like enrichment activities that just continue to grow their thinking skills, and it's phenomenal what it can do for kids. So it doesn't have to be for kids that just struggle, but for kids that want to excel because they're not being taught at the right grade level, right? Like, maybe they're 2 grade levels above, and so they're not being challenged, right? Tutoring actually can teach them at the level that they're at, and you can skip all that. It is so much fun. Now, Joanne was wondering, have you checked out OpenStax? Oh, it's Amy. Her name is Amy. Amy. Got it, Amy. Yes. Have you checked out OpenStax?
I have not. I guess I'm unfamiliar with what OpenStax was, so I'd be interested to hear her perspective if she wanted to chime in.
Yeah, definitely. Chime on in. Let us know about it. She says it's a great free textbook resource. So that would be definitely interesting to check that on out. All right. So we've also got here, you have been a member of the Insider Secrets Club now for over a year. We've loved having you. What has your experience been like as a member of the Insider Secrets Club?
It's been amazing. I think that a lot of the times when we first start this, you're just completely clueless on trying to figure out even where to start. And it gets overwhelming at times trying to figure out, okay, what do I want to do first? Because I know that, I mean, you do a fantastic job, Joanne, of putting together information, whether it's regarding websites or marketing or tutoring itself or onboarding process, offboarding process, reviews, you name it, you've done it. So, I mean, I bow my head to you that you are just running the show and doing a fantastic job. And this community, it's just so nice to be able to pop into calls and hear other people's perspectives and see how they're handling stuff in their business, because we can all learn from each other. There's people that are doing better in one area, doing better in another, and it's feeding off that, and having a community of people that are kind of aligned around the same goal is really important.
Yeah, the synergy, I never could have imagined in my life. I think the synergy that happens because of the people that make up that community. So if you guys have been on the fence and you're watching this about like joining the Insider Secrets Club, if you go into the description, there is a link at number 5. Don't think about it. Just come join us, you guys. It's totally worth it. You're not going to get any other kind of support at the price that it is anywhere else. Yesterday, I was looking to collaborate with another person on some different marketing strategies, and I invited her to come on into a YouTube live, and she said, "Well, that would be more like a training, and so I'm going to charge you $750 for that. Do you still want to continue the conversation?" And I thought, my people have absolutely no idea the value that they are getting. Like a 1-hour call, $750. Like, holy shnikes. Like, people are getting complete support. They're getting connected with other tutors. They're getting to brainstorm with other people constantly. We're able to take a look at the keywords. Are they working? Are they not working? We're able to look at the technology that you're utilizing. And do you have any questions about the technology? How to use the technology? Come on in. Let's try it out together. And just like the support that people get is a value that like is not comparable to like anything else that's out there from all the other marketers that are out there. And I kind of got snookered by a lot of those marketers in the beginning, which is why I'm so passionate about helping you guys. So if it's something you've been thinking about, definitely come join us. It's definitely worth it. I cannot wait to check out OpenStack. So thank you, Amy, for sharing that. So Jennifer wants to know about how many hours a week do you work with each of your ACT students?
So after doing it for a long time, I realized that 1-hour sessions were too short. 3-hour sessions, the students were ready to just drop dead. So 2-hour sessions are what I've locked in as my ideal time, because it gives us time to review supplementary things that I have them doing before they come to class. So any questions that they may have on any of the math worksheets or ACT tests, we cover right in the beginning. And then that allows me about an hour to work through new material, plus maybe a half hour to give them, additional problems and test out anything that they might be having problems with. So I meet with my students once every week. And like I said, high school students' schedules vary a lot. A lot of the times they're pretty consistent, but with coaches changing times of practices and all of that, I allow them to kind of reschedule where they can if things come up. But I try to get them to come in once a week just to stay consistent and stay on that process, because I had a few students that, if they don't get all their sessions scheduled, I see them once and then I don't see them for a month, and I'm like, we haven't made any progress, so I try to stay up on them. So usually I'm seeing them about 4 times a month.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. That's really great advice, because you've already kind of tested your average ideal student out to see what is going to work for them. I've done that in reading as well. I mean, when I've got kids that are only like 3 years old, like a 15-minute, 20-minute session is like max. That's all I get, because after that, who knows what they're fiddling with and antsy about, right? Like, but then I get like, they move into like the 5-year-old range. They can usually handle about a half an hour. And then, you know, I do like 2 sessions a week with them. And then as they get older, you know, they have that attention span. And so you've really found that perfect attention span for your market. Awesome.
And you know what, to add to that, I mean, it's a constant refinement period. You know, when I'm looking at my current package, I'm like looking at it saying, okay, after looking at the number of students I've worked at, okay, this isn't working here. I need to streamline this packet. I need to get better questions in here. So I'm looking at trying to keep revising that stuff so that I can maybe back down the amount of time, maybe to an hour and a half, and get more students in that capacity. You know, if I'm doing a better, more efficient job of conveying that information and they're able to convey it right back to me, perfect. If we can get it done in less time, let's do it. But as of right now, 2 hours has kind of been where I'm sitting until I kind of get those revisions put into place and test those out. So,
well, it sounds like you've got some great pieces in place. Okay, I got a really personal question for you here. You ready?
Shoot.
All right. So you talked about how you do packages. So how did you come up with the pricing of your packages for the tutoring? And do you ever do like hourly tutoring? I know, like, because it differs with your math students and your ACT students. Do you ever like just tell them like your hourly rate, or you just go through the package method?
Would it be helpful to show you?
Sure, that'd be great.
Let's see here. Figure out how to share my screen, Joanne. There we go. Let me go to my website real quick and I can show you guys what I've put together.
And while he's doing that, you guys, I want to remind you that we have our HD giveaway today. I have put all of the names in a name randomizer. And so that it looks fair, I'm going to show you guys my name randomizer so that you can see that I have no idea who is actually going to win here. All right. Awesome. We got it. Yes. All right. So he's showing us his website here. Awesome.
Yep. So these are my, the way I've set it up, I've kind of gone both ways where I've tried the subscriptions, tried the packages. I'm kind of sitting on the packages route because just a lot of the times, you know, every time students were coming up, they were having trouble with not using all of their sessions and things expiring. And from a customer client service perspective, I was just having some trouble with that if they weren't using all their hours in the time that they needed. So I've kind of gone back to packages here, but if people want to just book me a la carte, $75 an hour. But if they want to go ahead and purchase a package of 5 hours, 10 hours, or 20, there is that cost decrease incentive there. So it does go down. And the way that I do all my scheduling, I use Acuity scheduling just to set up my packages. So once you create the student and you assign the package to them, whenever they schedule a session, it just takes that amount of time out of the bank.
Oh, okay.
So it keeps it well organized and I'm not having to do it on an Excel sheet.
That's
so, you know, once they run out, we have that discussion again and move forward. So, but here, this is kind of just like an hourly breakdown here with my academic coaching. So all my levels of math. But if I go back to test prep here, I do have larger packages put together. So these are my main packages that I've put together. I have an 18-hour package. The advanced is a 24-hour package. And then my elite package is 40 hours. So in each one, you have different features that come with that.
Sure.
And I've really tried to make the advanced one my go-to package. So I'm not saying what my hourly breakdown is. I'm sure parents grab 2,000 and divide by 24 to figure that out. Sure. But there's all these other features that are coming with it that I had to take into account for. My custom workbook that I put together. I have another workbook that is branded with all of my breakthrough tutoring information that is more like the advanced coursework that I moved to. I have access to 24/7 online access to all the materials in that book. plus solution videos for a lot of the ACT math tests. So that's included. Again, weekly progress reports, tests that they can take, score reports that they can take, all of my supplementary materials. So, you know, I'm really trying to make people shoot for this package.
Sure.
Again, after my phone consultation, I usually have a good idea of what their budget is. Sometimes these might be too far out of their budget and they're saying there's no way I can do this, even with a payment plan. So I do have some other packages that I have created in the off chance that somebody doesn't want to do the full extent of the work that is needed. I do have things set up in my back office for like an 8-hour package or a 12-hour package. They're not getting all of these features by any means, but I can at least put together maybe a custom workbook that might fit their needs. But I'm very upfront that not putting in the time that is required, you're not going to hit the goal that you want.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And you're really focusing on here too, the consistency, and you're being right up forward. Like, this is how much it's going to cost at the end of the day. This is the total cost. Kind of like an orthodontist.
Yeah. Yeah. You know? I mean, you're going to have to go through the iterations with the braces, right? In order to get you to that like perfect smile. Yeah. We need to put the time in. And like I said, originally for people trying to pay this up front was challenging. And with me trying to book people out into the future, it was challenging. But now with the system that I'm using, I'm able to take a 20% down payment to say, okay, to lock in your tutoring spot for May, there's a 20% down payment. So looking at that, and that's non-refundable. So, you know, if you book me and you cancel a month beforehand, that $200 is not being returned, but the rest is if you had paid more.
Sure.
But I'm able to break those down into 3 payment schedules and allow the customer to pay over the time that we're working together. So
that is a brilliant system. And I'll tell you why, you guys. I mean, seriously, what we're really doing here is we are really guaranteeing the fact that that person and the amount of time, let's say they booked for May, it is now February, that they're not going to find another tutor in the meantime. They've already put down that money and they feel like, okay, we've already got a good establishment with someone who's going to get progress with our child. And this is a great system that you've put in place.
Yeah. Before I used to just say, yeah, I got them booked. And, you know, sometimes they would pay up front. Other times they'd start paying and then something would happen. So I just wanted to make sure that when I was taking a tutoring slot off of my list, that if anything, I was going to get that payment for doing that. So again, things can happen. Maybe they wanted to go with another person, but I haven't really had that experience yet. It's been working out very well.
Yeah. And so when you are, Max wants to know, when you are booked, I feel like maybe we kind of touched on this a bit. When you are booked, do you ever turn students away or do you schedule it more for the future?
I will look at each person. So let's say that I have a full schedule for the next couple months. A lot of the times, like I said, I'm getting students earlier and earlier. So it doesn't matter if I'm booking them out 4 months because they're a sophomore or a junior. If it's somebody that's a senior that is in like a dire situation where they need help right now, I'll charge an additional rush fee.
Okay. So Max, I think the most important thing here is that is the most beautiful place to be in your business. The fact that you're worried about like, oh, but I don't want to turn a student down. You know, I put them on a wait list and then I can contact them again. Like I have a list of people I can contact when I have a spot that opens up. So they can either, I let them know, hey, I know some other tutors that can help now, but if you are specifically looking to work with me, which is often the case, they want to work directly with me. I say, most likely I'm going to have a spot that's going to open up in this amount of time. Do you want me to put you on the wait list? So I contact you immediately as soon as that spot opens up and I get them on the wait list. So because we do only have so many hours, unless you're building a business where you are going to be hiring other tutors to be able to take on students, we have a max of how many students we can take. So that's just important to kind of take into consideration. So Amy wants to know, how do you modify or revise expectations?
Based on score. So I would say that, you know, right in the beginning, you can have, this is just how everybody thinks, right? I send them my form to set up my consultation with me, phone consultation. And I have in there, you know, what are your current scores? What is your score goal? Can't tell you how many people type in 36 and they're at a 20. Okay, what do you want? 36. Okay, you know, if you're at a 34 and you want a 36, that's a reasonable expectation.
Right.
But you have to be clear that, and here, let me just go back. I share this with them on my website. If they're on my test prep page, I have questions here to help them understand what might be a good fit for them.
Great.
So right here, determine how many prep hours are required. Well, you know, you can see here that 2 hours of instruction doesn't get you anything. You're not even on the map, right? So trying to get your tips and tricks, 2 hours isn't going to cut it.
No.
But a lot of people are sitting right in here that are looking for that 6-point increase.
Yep.
So, you know, that's why I shoot for that middle of the road, because that's where usually people are shooting for, is like a 5 to 7 point increase. If you're trying to go from a 20 to a 36, you better be putting in a lot of time.
Well, and are there schools that will only accept 36s?
Those are the students that are just looking for that full ride, you know, and you can still get a full ride on like a 33, 34. You don't have to shoot for that perfection, but it's like the stigma that especially in the Indian community, everybody is like up there, and it is, you want to almost have those bragging rights to say that your student has hit that level. And there's a lot of pressure. There is a lot of pressure for these students that are coming in thinking that they have to get a 36 or their life is over. And I'm like, guys, no, you are doing fantastic. You are doing so well right now with what you're doing. And they stress out thinking, oh my God, if I miss one question, it's over. And it's not. It's not. Especially on the test now, they're a little bit more forgiving than they used to be. But it does. You have to manage the expectations based on where the student is, how much time they want to put in, where they're at from a motivation standpoint, if they're doing the work that I'm assigning. Because some students come in and don't do any of the things that I've told them to do. And I have to have that conversation, that coming to Jesus moment where I'm like, listen, we're not going to get anywhere if you're not putting in the effort. And I can keep giving you things, but if you don't take the initiative, that's really why on my contract and my policies, I have a clause in there that does not guarantee that we're going to hit that goal, because there's a variable there that I can't control. I can try to inspire and empower and motivate as well as I can, but that's not something that I can say 100% of the time. I get there 95% of the time, but there's that 5% that, you know, maybe it's just not clicking. Maybe you're not hitting that student's incentive, you know, pain points enough. So.
Right. And sometimes the parents care more than the child does. And when that is the case, I feel like that's when we have issues.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, there's just so many issues across the board. And the child needs to want it, and they need to really want to get the score that they want to get, and they need to be willing to put the work in to get it. And that's just the way that it goes. That I think that's kind of like across the board with tutoring, which is one of the reasons why I like working with the younger kids so much. They're so excited still. I love it. I want to keep that excitement with school, because, you know, once they slow down in the whole reading thing and they start like comparing themselves with everybody else, and they base their self-esteem off of their reading and their reading rate and their comprehension, they start basing themselves off of other kids and comparing themselves. Some really bad self-esteem stuff starts, you know, pushing on in. So if we can get them at first, second, third grade, boom, we can really set them up for success all across the board, because they're going to do better in math. They're going to do better in reading. They're going to do better in every single subject. So,
well, what I've found, especially with ACT, is that those students and math students in itself, why do I want to work on something that I'm bad at? Like, you don't want to work on something that you're inherently bad at. So it's like you have to go a step, 2 steps before that and actually show them that they can be confident in this and they can be good at this. Because I think so many people just look at it as, oh, I'm good at math or I'm bad at math. Oh, and the parents are like, yep, I'm bad at math too. Genetically, you're bad at math. And that's just not the case. It's not the case. If you learn how to take those first 2 initial steps, math becomes so easy when you have the right person teaching you the right methods with the right amount of patience for you to actually understand it, rather than just, oh, the class got it. Sorry, you're off in the corner. I'm not going to teach you. Like, you can't do that. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys, I'm sure by this point, all of you guys can see why Kyle is getting the Tutorpreneur Hero Award. I mean, he has all these amazing pieces in place, right? That website, that pricing plan, a way to be able to work with his students in a successful way with expectations that are really set out and very clear from the parent right off the bat. I mean, it's just incredible. You have put some awesome things in place. And I know there are some people that are just sitting right now inside of the chat who are thinking, wow, if I could be where Kyle is today, that would be so cool. But what kind of advice do you have for tutors that are just getting started out right now?
I would say learn from my mistakes, in terms of, a lot of the times we get started and we're so excited to just do everything. And with Joanne, all the information that you're pumping out in all the different areas, it gets overwhelming sometimes. And I think from my perspective, the best thing I ever did was I hit the pause button and I said, okay, you know what? Marketing isn't what I need to be putting in place quite yet. I was all about trying to get my Facebook posts and get people to like hire me. And I didn't really have a way to bring students in or parents into my system and show that professional side of my business that I wanted them to see. So it was all, my website wasn't developed. I wasn't speaking to my ideal client. I didn't have a way of bringing them in and showing them how good I was at what I did. I was doing all this Facebook messaging, and I realized that I needed to take a step back and say, okay, who is my ideal client? Who do I want to connect with? Who do I want to work with? I don't want to work with everyone.
Right.
Because those students that don't want to work with me, why would I put myself through that?
No.
Right. So I started looking there, and I started realizing that my website just talked about me, and I wasn't even worried about my client. I'm like, hey, I'm good at this. I've been doing this so many years. Instead, it's like, yeah, I want to connect there. So, you know, I invested a lot of time and a lot of resources into that. And I feel like it's just in a beautiful place. Yeah. And putting the time in to get my onboarding process all in place, so that now when somebody contacts me, I either plug them into my system manually and launch my workflow and everything's handled automatically, or they hit my contact page and it starts it without me doing anything.
Right.
And I get them the proposal. I get them signed up for a consultation. They fill out my paperwork. Their invoice is already created. They're paying. Like, it's so easy now. But before, I was just so worried about trying to do Facebook Live and YouTube videos and all of that. And I was stretched thin. And now I'm ready to start looking at the marketing side.
Right.
And doing my Facebook posts and YouTube videos. And I'm ready to dive back in with you and say, okay, what do I need now? Because I have these like solid pieces put in place.
You do. And that's why we, inside of the Insider Secrets Club, we start with your business plan. Like, we figure out who that ideal client is, like, right off from the start. And then we move on into finding your keywords so that you can get found. And then we move into your website so that you can develop that and get it to a place where you want it to be. And, because those pieces need to be in place. And until you have those pieces into place, you have nothing to send clients or interested people to. And so they can't find you. So it's really figuring out that funnel. So I'm going to just drop this for some of you guys who don't know this yet, but we are actually going to be having our very first live event in Florida, and only a handful of people are going to be able to join us. So I'm very excited about it. Stay tuned. More details are going to be shared about it. It is going to be May 24th to the 27th. So it's very, very exciting. And I know that you guys are dying to find out who the winner is, aren't you? So we are going to open that up right now so that you guys can see through the randomizer all the names that have been added. And you are going to get to see who gets to be the winner. So I'm going to share my screen right now. Please share. We are going to share from here. We'll see if this works. Entire screen, share.
Whoa, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't think it's working. Wait, yes, it is. Okay, because it's a few minutes late on the on everybody else's side. It's still frozen on this. Come on. Come on. Come on. You can do it.
This is what happens when we do online tutoring, right? And you have to have your plan B.
Yeah. And I bet, let's just come right on over here, see if that changes it. Do you see the screen now?
Yep.
Awesome. So I'm scrolling through all of your names. These are the people that put in their own submissions. These are all of the people that ended up sharing comments on my thing. This is everybody's name ended in right in here. I'm going to hit this button right here, and it's going to give us Becky. All right, let's see. Becky, I will look up your name, and you are the winner. Winner. Okay, so you are inside of my email list. I will find you. I'll email you and let you know. But you are the winner today. Awesome. Congratulations. I'm so excited to be able to give this to you. And I know it's going to be awesome for your business. So I'm going to hit stop here since I've got some crazy stuff going on. We're going to turn camera on. Clearly, I'm doing like some weird things on my screen here. Turn camera on. Turn camera on. All right. It's on. There we go. So, Becky, you are the winner of this. Now, I want to let you guys know, if you didn't win, it's okay. You still have a chance to win a 10% discount. Okay, so it's inside of the description. You can check out, you can go to the HUE store and put Ultim 10, and you can get anything from their store with a 10% discount. Now, that is only good until April 30th. That you can use that discount. So if you're watching this after April 30th, sorry about that. That's how long we have to use that 10% discount. And you're going to be able to get your very own HUE HD video camera as well. So congratulations. Thank you so much for sharing all of your information, Kyle, with us. We really appreciate it. And I know everybody else inside of this group is super excited as well for you being able to receive the award. So
thank you, Joanne. This has been fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day. Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good day.